For today's video, which is part of a course where we create a complete pet care website in Figma, we're going to be creating the blogs page, which is this, and we are going to be creating the contact page, which is this. And yeah, for the links to the other parts of this course or the course playlist, check out the description box below. Alright, let's get started. To begin our tutorial, I've already gone ahead and grabbed all the images I'm going to use in this page. Let's start with this top section. I'm just going to create a copy of this and bring it out. Height is going to be 455. Now we're going to crop this image. Unlike the other times where we just use it as it is, this is quite large. So I'm going to change the, let me start with the width. I'm going to make the width 550 and I'm going to crop the height so that the height is 480. Let me just keep going till it's 480. And I'm going to zoom out, hold shift, and I want to zoom into the face of the dog. Let's say something like this. Maybe I could even get a little bit closer. Let's say, I don't know, something like this. It's not going to be exact, but this is essentially what I'm going for. Hopefully the head of this dog gives us enough space to work with. All right, I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to select this rectangle. I'm going to duplicate it, bring this image over this rectangle, and I'm going to move it so that the image is 30 from the top of this rectangle and 180 from the right. That's too much. Still too much. I'm just going to, let me use my arrow keys. That should give me more control. So the spacing from the top should be 30 and the spacing from the right should be 180. I'm just going to, oh, I forgot to, you know what, I'm just going to select all of this, bring it to the top, use my right square bracket to bring it to the top. Sorry about that. I'm going to select this rectangle and this image closest to each other, right click, use as mask. Select the rectangle below. You know what, there's no need to do that. Let's go back to this one. I'm going to select this group, select this rectangle, Control Alt and C. Going to select this, select the rectangle, Control Alt and V, paste properties. I'm going to select all of this group and then I'm going to lock the aspect ratio. Cut this, come back to our frame and paste. Just want to make sure it's at the top. Yeah, so we may have to move the, well, for me I have to move, okay, no, this is not the actual header section. Thankfully I didn't modify my project on something that was supposed. Let me copy the actual header section. Hopefully it's going to be fine. I'm going to paste. You know what, this spacing is good enough. I'm just going to leave it like that. So the goal is not to have this too close to, as long as your text is visible, that's fine. Let's now change our focus to this one. I'm going to change the typography to pet care desktop heading. Let me create another copy of this. This one is going to be pet care desktop body. Let me grab the text. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste. Select these two items, make it a frame, make the gap 20. Just in case, I just thought maybe, just in case you have an issue here where the dog's head is overlapping with your text, all you need to do is open the mask group, select the image, double click. Now double click, and then you'll be able to modify and then maybe move the image of the dog. So even though it's a mask group, you can still modify the image. So you can go ahead and do that if it's too close to this. As long as it's not obstructing the text, it's fine. I'm going to move this so that it's on the middle of this. I just want to check. Okay, it's fine. Now we can move on to the body. I'm going to delete that. We don't need it. I'm going to grab this text, copy and paste. Let's change typography. We didn't do that. Go over to typography, change this to pet care desktop body. Let's change the alignment of the text to center, and I'm going to reduce the width of this so it's on 8 columns. Just exclude the first and the first 2 columns on the left and right. Next, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select only the frame in the middle that has these 3 blog posts, and I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to replace. So we're now going to just swap the images, the text in this. Of course, these actual 3 are parts of our blog. So this one here is going to, like, I arrange the images in the way they appear. So this one is going to be here, then this one is going to be up here. So when it gets to those places, I won't modify them. I'll only modify the other 9 that we need to change. So we're going to start with this one, which is going to be this. Let's get closer so we can do that. I want to start, I'll go from, like, I'll do it in 3s. I'll start with the first, then second, third, just the text. Then I'll go for the images and then bring in the images. I'm going to start by grabbing my text for this one. Okay, so copy this and I'm going to paste. Let me grab the next text. I'm going to paste here. No need to change the date on the next, so I'm just going to move on to the next item. I'm going to paste. I'm going to grab the description and then paste. Final one for this section anyway. I'm going to copy and paste, and I'm going to grab the description for this one and paste also. Now let's format our images. So the dimensions for this image is, I believe, width is 333, height is 240. So I could just start by selecting all 3, changing their respective widths to 333. Now let's format the height, all of them, to 240. That's what I'm just going to quickly do. Let me zoom out, and then I'm just going to move this image so our focus is more on this. Let's select this. I'm going to close that. We need height 240. This one we have to increase. I'm going to hold shift and increase the size of the image so it fits within the frame. This I'm going to reduce. Let me get closer. And I'm going to move this, let's see, like this. This looks fine. Let me start with this one. This is the image for. I'm going to paste and replace. I'm going to cut this second image, paste and replace. Finally, we have this third one. I'm going to paste and replace. So we want to match the format of this image so it will have those curves on the edges like this one. So we'll corner radius is 8 for the top left and top right. That's what we're going to do right now. Then add a stroke by removing the bottom one. So I'm going to select this image, hold shift and still select, so we can select all 3 images at once. And I'm going to go over to corner radius. So on the top left, make it 8, top right, make the corner radius 8. Let's add a stroke. We're going to change the stroke to this pet care border, and then open the border setting, the stroke settings, individual strokes, select custom, and then change the bottom one to 0. And I'm going to click out, and we have our first row of blog post items. Let's now move on to the second one. For this second one, actually we don't need to change this first one because that's where its own position is. So I just swapped the position. We're going to change this to, I'm going to grab the text. Okay, this one, we've already done this one, so it's going to be this one next. I'm going to paste my text. I'm going to grab the description text and then paste, and I'm going to grab the heading for this blog post, and then I'll go and grab my description, and I'm going to paste. Next up is the images. Width is 300. We don't need to use this one. I'm just going to delete it. Width is 333. So I'm going to change their width together, and I can now change their height. This is 222. I'll have to increase it to 240. I'll increase the height, and then I'll do the same for this one, 240. I'm just going to hold shift down and increase this. Now I'm going to select this first one. It's going to go to this. I'm going to paste and replace using Ctrl Shift and R, and then I'm going to paste and replace using Shift and R. I'm just going to hold Shift and select these 2 images. I'm going to change the corner radius for the top left to 8 and the corner radius for the top right to 8. Next up, I'm going to add a stroke. We're going to change the stroke color to the pet care border. Then we're going to open the settings for the individual strokes, select customs, and then change the stroke thickness for the bottom to 0. Alright, we're done with that second row. We can move on to the next one. So this one is in this okay, this third row, this one is currently in its correct position. It's this one we're going to move over, and we only have to change this third one. I'm going to grab the text. I'm going to skip this first and second one because those are the first 2 blog posts, and I'll go for the third. Paste the heading and then grab the description, copy, and I'm going to paste. Let me grab the image. So this first 2 we don't need. I'm going to delete it. Width is going to be 333, so I'm going to change it, and then I can change the height to 240. I'm going to zoom out, and then I'm going to just move this so it's aligned like this. I'm going to cut the image and then bring it into this frame and then resize it. Let's change the corner of the top, the corner radius of the top right corner to 8, top left corner 8 also. Let's add a stroke, change the stroke color to pet care border. Let's remove the bottom stroke. I'm going to change this to 0. Okay, let's work on the last row of items. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to copy this and paste. I'm going to copy this and then paste. Let's go for the second one. I'm going to copy this and paste. Next is going to be the description. I'm going to paste, and finally our last blog post, I'm going to copy and paste. Copy and paste. Now let's format our images. I'm going to select all three images, change their width to 333. Let's crop this one and reduce the height to 240. I'm going to just move this a little to the top. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to replace. I'm going to crop this to 240 also, and I'm going to move this image. I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to replace. Let me crop this, the height of this to 240. And I'm going to just move this. Then I'm going to cut this image and then replace. I'm going to now change the top left corner radius to 8 and the top right corner radius to 8. Next is going to be a stroke. We're going to change the color to pet care border, and we're going to change the thickness of the stroke at the bottom to 0 so that it's going to be only at the bottom. The final detail for this is I want this to be responsive, and as you can see the images are not, so I'm just going to select the images. I think this should be fine because we didn't modify it. Let me just do this. I'm having problem selecting. Let me just do this top ones first. We'll just go over to dimensions, under width, set to fill container, and I just want to make sure. Yes. Next, I'm going to select this image and this one. Under dimensions, set their fill to their width to fill. I just want to make sure. Okay, this two should be fine. I'm going to select this. Under dimensions, set the width to fill. Once again, I'm going to check. That's fine. And then we have finally this three. Select width, set to fill container. Okay, that's it for this ones. Let's now grab a copy of the footer section of from any of our previous pages, and I'm just going to replace that. Let's now change the colors of whatever needs to be changed. I think it's only this one because we've already done for this. I'm going to select the text. We're going to change it to pet care desktop, pet care font. Do we need to change this? All right, we do. Let me change the fill of the frame, and I'll also use this opportunity to check for any colors that haven't been changed. They haven't, so we are all good on the colors. Now I'm going to space out our elements. Let's start with this one. I'm going to select this, and this spacing between those two is going to be 60. And I'm going to select this text and this sections, with the exception of the footer section, make spacing 20. Select this last section and the footer section, make the spacing 100. and I'm going to reduce the height of our frame. So we have this. Finally, we're going to now bring in our paw prints. I'm going to select this entire thing, create a copy, and bring it close to this frame so I can decide how many frames, how many groups we're going to need. I'm just going to, I think I'll get rid of the last 3, so I just need 4. I'm going to select these, group, and then lock the aspect ratio in dimensions. And I'm going to bring in this, let me move it around till I like the position of the paw prints. I think this looks good enough to me. You can go ahead and move yours around, and I'm going to use my left square bracket to send to back. Alright, let's look at it in the prototype view. I'm just going to open this tab, give it a moment, and it should load. And then yeah, we have this image. Okay, we have a blog page done. Let's go back to the design tab, and we can now move on to create our final page, which is the contact page. Alright, I've gotten my images that we're going to use in this section. We just have 2 images here. Let's start with this rectangle. So I'm just going to grab a copy of this, bring it out of our frame, and I'm going to change the height to 455. Next, I'm going to select this image. I'm going to change the width to 975. Next, select the rectangle, use your right square bracket to bring to front, and we're going to select the image next, bring to front. Select the rectangle once again, duplicate, and I'm going to grab this image and bring it over this rectangle. So what I'm going for is I want it to be 70 from the top. It's currently 60. 70 from the top, and when I hover, let me see, I want it to be 146 from the right, so it's 153. So 70 from the top, 146 from the right. Okay, so I'm now going to just select the rectangle and the image, right click, use as mask. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to select this rectangle. Let me select that group, and I can select the rectangle, Control Alt and C to copy properties. Select this rectangle here, Control Alt and V to paste. Just in case you didn't notice, when I select here, it's the mask group I'm selecting. The rectangle is underneath. So since it's close, I can just easily locate the rectangle. If you want to locate the rectangle, you can also highlight it and then get the rectangle. That's how I'm doing it. I'm going to select everything. Oops. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to group, and I'm going to lock aspect ratio. Cut that, and we can now replace this rectangle back in our frame. I'm going to move it down so it fits to the top of our frame. I'm going to need a copy of this header section, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to delete it instead of my mouse is being it's been a bit difficult, sorry about that. I'm going to paste. I just want to make sure that's a bit close. You know what, we're just going to leave it like that. I'm going to leave that header section. It's really close, but it's not obscuring the text, so that's fine. Next, we're going to focus on this text. I'm going to change the typography to pet care desktop heading. I just want to make sure it's aligned to the edge of our column, and I'm going to create a copy because we need a text box for our extra text. We're going to change that to pet care desktop body, and I'm going to, let me move on to the next page. Contact us. This is the text I'm going to paste. Select this to make it a frame. Go over to gap, make the gap 20, and I'm going to move this so that it's at the center of this rectangle. Just want to make sure you once again, and I'll just check here. Let's now change our focus here. You know what, let's finish. This is going to be the last image for this entire project, so let's work on this. We're going to use, actually we can just reuse oh no, this is a component. I just want to use a normal, don't want to use a component. I could just detach instance, but let's just keep it simple. We're going to use blob number 1. Let's change the width of this blob to 355, and I'm going to use my right square bracket to bring it to the top. I'm going to select this image, right square bracket, bring it to the top. I'm going to duplicate this blob using Ctrl and D, so we have 2 copies of this. I'm going to select this image. Let's reduce the size of this image to 463, and I'm going to bring this image over this blob till I'm satisfied with its position. So let me I'm just going to move it around, and I just want to cut off that sharp edge there. All right, this looks let me just bring it, and you can just figure out what works for you with your own blob. I'm just going to have mine there. I'm going to duplicate that image. I'm going to select the image and blob closest to each other, right click, use as mask, select the, let's change the color of the blob. Let's use pet care purple, and select the image on top, double click so we can crop, and I'm just going to crop this till it's about here, and I want the width to be the same as the blob, and I'm just going to reduce this a little bit. All right, we have that, and we are done with this image. All right, I'm going to select everything, group, and then go over to dimensions, lock the aspect ratio. Can cut this now, and I'm going to Control Shift and R and replace it here. We're still going to move it. Let's work on our text. I'm going to select these 3 text boxes. Let's go over to typography, and I'm going to change that to pet care desktop subheading 1, and select these other text boxes. I'm going to change it to pet care desktop body, and let me create a little bit of space. I'm going to create a copy of this text and bring it to the top. I just want to make sure that it's aligned. I'm going to copy this text, and I'm going to paste. I'm just going to reduce the width of this so that it's around this width. Maybe I could actually have it on just 5 columns like that. Next up, I'm going to grab I'm going to copy, oops, I want to copy, not cut. Copy this subheading, and I'm going to copy this content, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to make the resizing of this text box auto width. I'm going to select this to make it a frame, and then change the gap to 25. Next is going to be this one. I'm going to need a little bit more space. Let me copy my text. This is send us a message. I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to grab this other text, and then I'm going to paste. I'm going to reduce the width of this. Let me see. let's see how it will work out. I'm going to need a copy of our form that we had in this section, so I'm going to copy it. I'm just going to copy it out along with that button, because I'm going to need the button as well. So I'm just going to Control Shift and R. Once again, I just created a copy of the text box to replace it, to make it easier to predict where Figma is going to paste that item, instead of trying to just paste it and it's going to just paste wherever I want to go to. we're going to remove a few details. So let's select the package, just select it and delete. Then preferred date and time, delete. Pet name and breed, delete. Next, let's change the text for this to message. And I want to change this, the width of this. Let me make it whole content. Now I'm going to change the resizing of this one, the width to whole content. So what I did is I changed the resizing of this one to whole content, and then the bigger frame that has this form and this button, I change it to whole content. The gap here is going to stay at 20. Let's change the text for this to send message, and I'm now going to select this to make it a frame. Let's make the gap 25, and this time I can grab this and bring it into this frame, the bigger frame, not the form. I don't know if it makes sense. So we now have 3 items in the frame: that frame that has the subheading and this text, the form and the message, and their gap should all be 20. And I'm just going to bring this up just slightly. Let's now work on the final parts. I'm going to grab the text for that section, sales connect with us. I'm going to paste. I'm going to grab the text, copy it, and then paste. Let me change the resizing of the text to auto width. Next up, I'm going to copy that button, and then once again I just use that to help me paste where I want it to be. I'm going to select this text and this button, make it a frame, and we're going to change the gap to 20, and then select this text and this section, make it a frame, make the gap 25. Now we're going to need a copy of the footer section, so I'm just going to copy it from the blog page, and we have this. Let's now change our colors and then do the spacing. Let's start with this. I'm going to select this. This is supposed to be pet care fonts. I'm just going to select all other sections, and wherever it's black, I'm going to change it to pet care font. Let's go back to the top again. I'm going to select this rectangle, and this text spacing is going to be 60. Then I'm going to select this, and this spacing is going to be 20. And then between this and this spacing is going to be 50. And we're going to select this final section, and this one, make the spacing 100. And I can just reduce the height of this. I just realized I did not change the color of the fill of our entire frame, so I'm just going to do that. I'm already selected on the frame, so I'll just go to fill, and I'm going to select background. For the alignment of this image, I'm going to select this section and this one, we're going to make the spacing 320, and we are also going to just move it so that it's aligned to the top. Let me use the alignment. I'll align it to the top of this location section, so it's going to be 320 between our location and this image. And yeah, that's it for the contact page. Final detail is our paw prints. So I'm just going to create a copy, bring it here. This time we may need just 3 perhaps. Let me see. Let me just going to select all of this group, and yeah, 3 is good enough. I'm just going to move it till this looks good to me anyway, and I'll use my left square bracket to send it to the back. Now let's look at it in our prototype tab. Let's see what it looks like, and I'll just give this a moment to load. And yeah, this is what our contact page looks like. I'm just going to scroll down, and with that we are done with the desktop layout for our pet care website. So the next part of this course, we're going to create the tablet layout. We're going to create the tablet layout, and I'm also going to bring in the tablet style guide. Anyway, with that said, we have come to the end of this section of our course. If you want to see other parts of this tutorial or this course or the course playlist, check the description box below, and I'll see you in the next part.